The colony ship Meridian Dawn hung in the void like a dying star, its hull breached in 17 places, atmosphere venting into the black. Commander Elena Voss watched the damage reports scroll across her cracked display screen and knew they had perhaps 6 hours before complete systems failure. 6 hours before 243 human souls would freeze in the depths of space. They had been running for 3 weeks. The Krell Imperium didn't negotiate with refugees, didn't acknowledge surrender from species they considered vermin. Earth had fallen 9 months ago, swallowed by geometric warships that moved through space like living nightmares. The Meridian Dawn was one of 17 colony ships that had escaped the final bombardment. Now it was the only one left. Elena's second officer, Marcus Webb, stood at the tactical station with his jaw clenched so tight she could see the muscles jumping beneath his skin. He was 26 years old and had watched his entire family die in the Melbourne Arcology collapse. They were all carrying ghosts now. "Commander, we're being hailed," Marcus said, his voice carefully empty. "It's not the Krell." Elena felt something cold settle in her chest. The Krell they understood. The Krell killed quickly and moved on. But there were older things in this sector of space. Things that had been old when humanity was still painting on cave walls. "On screen," she said. The view screen flickered and resolved into an image that made Elena's breath catch. The being that looked back at her was tall and impossibly thin, with skin that seemed to shift between gray and pale blue, depending on the angle of light. Its eyes were large and dark, filled with something that might have been sorrow or might have been hunger. It was beautiful in the way that deep ocean creatures were beautiful. Alien and perfect and utterly wrong for the light of day. "Human vessel," the being said, its voice like wind through empty corridors. "I am Keeper Thane of the Witness Station Omega-7. Your distress signal has been received. Your ship is dying." "We know," Elena said, keeping her voice steady. "We're looking for somewhere to set down, somewhere the Krell won't follow. If you have any information about safe harbors in this sector, we would be grateful." Thane tilted its head in a motion that was almost human, almost comforting. "The Krell have claimed this entire region. There are no safe harbors. There is only the station." Marcus made a sound low in his throat. Everyone in human space knew about the witness stations, ancient installations scattered through the galaxy, operated by the species that called themselves the Collectors. They offered sanctuary to dying species, to the last survivors of conquered worlds. They offered mercy. No one who entered a witness station was ever seen again. "We appreciate the offer," Elena said carefully, "but we'll take our chances." "Commander Voss," Thane said, and Elena felt her skin crawl at hearing her name in that whisper-soft voice. "You have 243 souls aboard your vessel. 67 children. I can see their life signs from here, growing weaker with each passing minute. Your fusion core is compromised. Your environmental systems are failing. You will all be dead before you reach the nearest habitable system. Then we die free," Marcus said, stepping forward. Thane's expression didn't change, but something in those dark eyes shifted. "I lost my mother today," the being said quietly. 300 cycles ago, when my world burned. I was young then, afraid. The Collectors found me in the ruins of our capital city, the last of my kind. They asked me to come to the station. Just one night, they said. Just until the fires died down. Elena felt her throat tighten. "What happened?" "I stayed," Thane said simply. "I learned. I grew. I became one of them, a keeper of the lost, a witness to the ending of worlds. I have seen 73 species take their final breath. I have held the last child of the Veronix cluster in my arms as her life faded. I have sung the death songs of the Makers, the species that built the first witness stations 10 million years ago. I have carried the weight of extinction on my shoulders for longer than your species has existed. That doesn't sound like salvation, Elena said. That sounds like hell. Thane's mouth curved into something that might have been a smile. It is both. The witness stations are tombs and temples, graveyards and gardens. We preserve the memory of the lost, keep their cultures alive in crystal and code and song. The Krell will find you in 3 hours, Commander. They are already closing on your position. But if you come to the station, if you trust me for just one night, I can offer you something the Krell never can. What's that? Marcus demanded. Choice, Thane said. The chance to decide how your story ends. Elena looked at her crew, at the faces of men and women who had lost everything but each other. She thought of the children in the shelter decks, curled up in the arms of people who weren't their parents, because their parents were ash and memory. She thought of Earth, green and blue and beautiful, burning. What would we have to do? She asked. Come to the station, Thane said. Let us repair your ship, tend to your wounded, feed your hungry. Stay one night. In the morning, if you wish to leave, you may go. We will not stop you. But if you wish to stay, if you wish to become part of something larger than survival, something that will outlast the Krell and every empire that rises and falls in the darkness, then you may join us. You may become witnesses. And if we refuse the offer entirely, Elena said, if we choose to die out here on our terms, Thane's expression became impossibly gentle. Then I will stay with you until the end. No one should die alone in the dark. That much, at least, I can offer. The bridge was silent except for the steady beep of failing systems and the whisper of escaping air. Elena thought about dignity and desperation, about the difference between surrender and sanctuary. She thought about the children who would never see another sunrise, never feel rain on their faces, never know anything but the cold embrace of space. Marcus, she said quietly, prep the ship for docking. We're going to the station. Marcus's face went pale. Commander, that's an order, Lieutenant. He stared at her for a long moment, then nodded sharply and turned to his console. Elena looked back at Thane. One night, she said. We stay one night. We see what you're offering, and then we make our choice. All of us, democratic vote. Of course, Thane said. The collectors have never forced anyone to stay. We only offer the invitation. The screen went dark. Elena sagged in her chair, feeling the weight of 243 lives pressing down on her, shoulders like a physical thing. 6 hours later, the meridian dawn settled into the docking cradle of Witness Station Omega-7, a structure so vast it seemed to curve away into infinity. The collectors came aboard with medical supplies and food, with gentle hands and gentler voices. They treated the wounded, fed the starving, held the crying children until they slept. Thane met Elena in the observation deck as she stared out at the stars. The Krell fleet passed by 3 hours later, their ships like knives, cutting through the fabric of space, hunting for prey that had already vanished. One night, Thane said softly, standing beside her. That's what they told me, 300 cycles ago. One night to rest, to heal, to remember my mother's face without pain. And when morning came, I found I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. I wanted to help others the way I had been helped. I wanted to bear witness. Elena didn't look at the being beside her. You said we could leave if we wanted. You can, Thane assured her. Some do, not many, but some. They take our repairs, our supplies, and they go back out into the dark, looking for a home that no longer exists. We don't judge them for it. Survival takes many forms, and the ones who stay, they become something new, Thane said. Something that remembers everything and forgives nothing. Something that will still be here when the Krell are dust, when the stars grow cold, when the universe itself takes its final breath. They become eternal. Elena closed her eyes. She could feel it already, the pull of the station, the promise of purpose in the face of meaninglessness. She thought of her crew, her children, her people. She thought of Earth. Stay forever, Thane whispered. Bear witness with us. Make sure they are not forgotten. Elena Voss opened her eyes and looked at the stars, at the vast and terrible beauty of the universe, and knew that she had already made her choice. They all had.